Let the roll call show that every committee member is here, plus the TEA representative, minus Dr. Buchanan, who is the admin representative. And Marissa, you'll note the other people around the table, please. And actually, with that in mind, Sue, we have a couple of new faces at this table since the last meeting.
We do, and I would love to introduce them, but I think we're getting some feedback.
Oh, am I? Josh, why'd you let me keep my volume up? Oh, I'm good.
Come up.
No.
Yeah, it was coming out.
Yeah.
That's because I'm not using the official school.
Okay.
If you would, please.
Okay, so next to Kim, you met Dr. Michelle Baker at the last board meeting, but for the purposes of tonight for the committee, Michelle, give away. Michelle is our new student services lead, and then Lisa Bernabe is our director of STEM. Mary Gadd, I think you've met Mary. She may not have actually, well, you were, yeah, you were, yes. And you know Joanne.
Joanne. Remember.
Of the piece of the furniture, right?
Thank you, and welcome new members. Hope you enjoy these meetings as we go through the year. The only committee, it's this way, but the committee that does the most educational business of all the subcommittees. The money's important, the buildings and the other things are very important, but let me get down and dirty here. Approve the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have agenda. Minutes submitted to us electronically. Will anyone move to approve the minutes of the June 4th meeting?
Second.
Bill. No changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
We have our minutes. And now, public participation. I realize that we are the opening act for tonight's committee meetings, but is there anyone here who would like to address the Student Improvement Committee? Open the spiel. Discussion and next steps, summer school report.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will introduce, we talked a little bit at the full board meeting a couple of weeks ago about summer school. We gave a little bit of an overview, but we decided we would provide a little bit more detail tonight. So you all know that the program ran from the Monday after Independence Day right through the end of the month of July. But I'm going to let our OTL team take it away because they were really the boots on the ground. Michelle and Lisa and Mary and Joanne were there every single day, making sure that students were accountable, or that they were in attendance. And if they weren't, phone calls were made. We can talk a little bit more about what happened if students failed to attend at a later time during the presentation, but these ladies can tell you exactly how it ran, and feel free to ask questions.
So if you look at the program overview, it's what we said it would be. There were a number of programs going on during summer school. An elementary program where students were doing foundational reading and mathematics work. Middle school students were also working on curriculum. High school students were working on an online platform, Edgenuity, but we did have 2 in-person classes for geometry and for biology. Our English language learners, we had students, and Joanne will go into detail about our English language learners program, but we had students K through 12, no, K through 11, Yep, missed that one. And our ESY special education program, extended school year. Michelle will talk a little bit more about that one. But this building was full to bursting. It was bustling, but we were able to structure it so every program had its own zone, and our students were able to come in and get their work done and have a successful summer. So as I've noted, 2 sessions focused on math and reading core content, and for 9 through 12, the 2 in-person classes and online courses that were guided by teachers. So certified teachers were guiding those students through their online programs. This is just a
Before you
brief.
go there, sorry, Mary, I just wanted, we tried very hard to recruit teachers so that we could have more in-person instruction for summer school. I'm trying to learn to anticipate. You know, I think I had mentioned early on in the planning phase of this, we had difficulty getting folks, and I understand. I mean, you know, it's people are tired and they want a summer, and to ask somebody to commit to the month of July is a lot. So we did the best we could, we made it work. But what Mary had just said is we did have some certified teachers, just not necessarily in the content areas that we needed, but we had them monitoring the online work so that we kind of had some supervision of that online work, if you will. So we did the best we could with that. Sorry about that.
This slide is about the students who were invited and the students that attended. So 156 kids invited K-5, 129 attended, and those were split sessions. One school came in the morning, Boba Whitmore came in the morning, and Tornford came in the afternoon. Well, they were both in the morning, but they split the morning sessions. 6 to 8, 97 students were invited, 55 attended, and the reason for that is a number of students, when they first sent the invitations out, it was early in the year, and a number of students improved their classwork so that they didn't have to go to summer school. For the 9-12s, 110 were invited, 97 attended, 90 completed the full program, and of the 7 that did not, only 1 completed no classes, and 6 students had taken 2 and were able to complete 1 but not the other. And our EL students, we had 74 total participants. So again, very, very full house.
What happens to those that didn't complete?
That's on our next slide.
Yeah,
Oh.
and they're gonna need to finish
At
up.
the end and ask all of our
Yeah.
questions after everyone's done.
Yeah, and we may answer some of the questions
You
along
sit
the way.
down with them, that's
So 100% of the middle school students, so that means 100% of the kids who attended successfully completed the program. Honestly, crediting these ladies here who made sure that that happened, because they were really making sure, they were really driving home the point. You come to summer school, you're gonna make it work. However, as Mary said, some of the kids who initially were on the list to attend ended up falling off that list because they were able to bring up their grades. 93% of the high school participants earned credit. Ed Corey had asked at our last meeting about seniors, and I had thrown out the number 9. I was wrong. 14 seniors began the summer learning program. 1 student was dismissed for poor attendance. The remaining seniors successfully completed and graduated. So we had 13 seniors attend and complete, and they were able to earn their diploma in August. We did invite those students to a summer and August graduation type of a ceremony, but no one accepted the invitation, so they all declined. 13 high school students were dismissed, and those reasons for dismissal ranged from being absent, exceeding the absences that were allowable, non-attendance altogether, just not showing up. And actually we, by accident, stumbled upon a few folks who were attempting to attend who don't even live in town. I guess word got out that Torrington was running an amazing summer learning program.
Yeah, we're doing such a great job.
So truly, when I say the phone calls that were made, you know, arguing with families who don't live in Torrington and explaining, you have to come pick up your child because you don't live here. This is for Torrington residents only. So we had some of those situations. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know to say it out loud, but we should do something. Yeah, that's not a bad
We
idea
should offer it as a pay program.
for other districts.
Well, remember though that we had trouble getting staff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you know,
But if we're opening it up to other districts, we're kind of off track, sorry, but we could
Yeah.
also open it up to perhaps certified teachers in those surrounding towns too.
some districts, honestly,
Can we wait
You can-
until the end?
Yep.
And discuss this all?
Yeah, sorry. Okay. 100% of in-person high school students earned their in-person class credit. So yeah, I mean, it was a very successful program. I think we achieved the goal, right? Which was to give kids, as stated in the policy, every opportunity to be successful. And I think that's what we did. And while also holding, all kids accountable. Those who chose not to make it are finding themselves having to repeat. Okay?
Okay, so the EL students this was for EL newcomers, students within their first year of being in our school. And so it was exciting that we had 74 students participate and we had the different levels. It was kind of like English boot camp with love and fun. And the kids were immersed in listening, speaking, reading, writing, socializing with each other, doing group work, doing basic academics, learning more about the school functioning, which sometimes as kids come in throughout the year, they're kind of just suddenly schools and they really don't have a chance to have that devoted time to explain all of the policies and procedures. I know that the teachers who were teaching middle school, high school went over dress code. So that was clear to everybody. So that there are a lot of things that sometimes we just assume everybody will know or catch on to. So in addition to English language proficiency skills, there's a lot of other pieces that were added. And so the next slides are really just pictures of the kids doing things, making houses. They were acting out stories. At the very end, there's some testimonials, what they learned, and the picture on this, oh no, it was on the other page. But at any rate, they learned to read, they learned to write, the little ones learned Pete the cat, all these things that we kind of take for granted. And these kids were just turned on to these things that our own children have had. And but I just pulled out a couple that did not make the packet, but it just so darn. I worked hard in summer school. I learned to dance. Okay, and dancing wasn't particularly the curriculum, but there they have it. And then Mary and I were just laughing on the last day when I collected them all and I got this one. I worked hard in summer school. I learned to cutting. And there is a picture of a kid at a table with this huge pair of scissors. And really at the K2, there were some kindergartners who really had never mastered that. And this was an opportunity for them to get it. Now, this particular child, a very good artist, but not so good at cutting at the beginning of the summer program. Anyway, so the rest of these are just pictures and comments of what was happening during that program. And it was helpful because I learned more English. I like funny books. Again, some actually cutting in that picture. And the high school experience, the program helped me learn more English, understand things, and improve pronunciation and speak better. And then there's one page here, the last page in this section on the English Learner Program. So the kids had a goal that was established at the beginning of the summer. And one was to be able to call on the phone and speak to a friend. And so they practiced conversations. And so, the reading and writing doesn't come through so well, but the fact that the child had that basic conversation and was able to do that. So I would say that our program was a success and the kids entered school, I think, yesterday with just a sense of, I know this, I can do this, I've got a better chance. So I thank you for the opportunity. Dr. Baker, ESY, I think it's the next.
Yes, ma'am. For extended school year for specialized instruction, there's actually a regression criteria that students have to meet in order to be able to participate in the extended school year. So all those PPT meetings are held in order to determine whether or not students will participate. For us this year, there were 70 students that did participate. They were pre-K through the Transition Academy, which means they're pre-K through 22 years old. Typically, students who are in our Voices program, in addition to our Life Skills program, are the students that qualify based on the regression criteria. And they all were the students who partook in our program developmentally through the Voices and Life Skills program. We also did something called the Torrington Integrated Camp. It's like a extended school year. Students who qualify for that programming are students who meet the regression criteria, but in addition to staying with us until noon, there are students who remain on for a little longer throughout the day with us. They stay the last 2 weeks of summer school. It typically runs from 12:30 to 3:30, and those students are there for socialization skills per their IEP and their ability to speak in those different situations so that they're able to acclimate better. So we had about 27 students in K-8 who partook in the Torrington Integrated Camp this school year successfully.
That's it. Okay. Couple questions. We don't have forever questions, but Glenn, any questions? Ellen?
What's that? Great.
Questions, Ronnie? Christian?
No, thank you.
Bill? No. I don't have any, but Gary probably does, but not forever.
Oh, well, I'll give you tonight. We can go a little later. It's simple. What was the parental response to the summer school? I mean, in the past, a lot of parents fought against their kids going because they didn't need it or they didn't think they needed it. Was there any pushback? Did you get a lot of pushback from parents? Were they excited by it?
No, they weren't excited by it. But those conversations happened prior to the beginning of summer school, right? I mean, the invitations go out, but I don't want to use the word threat. However, the expectation that students will attend summer school if they don't meet the criteria that's needed to complete grade successfully, that information starts being communicated early in the year. So I think it's no longer a surprise. People know there's phone calls that are made from counselors and that kind of thing. Particularly at the middle school, that's where the biggest pushback was initially because it was new. Credit recovery has always been a thing at the high school. And the K-5 is viewed more as an opportunity to keep kids, from regressing over the summer and keep them skill building. But the middle school truly is, it's a result of failure during the year, right?
Right.
So it's, I think word is out, right? It's now it's become part of the culture.
There was a lot of notification to families way in advance.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of families who are upset because it's going to interfere with their vacation plans over the summer and that sort of thing. And honestly, to your point about going to another district, we had a couple of families who looked into programs in other districts that were at the time was better for them.
I think the EL program looks great. Surprisingly great.
Surprised.
So nice. Well, I didn't know what to expect. But see, showing us what they did, it's a lot better than I thought. I'm surrounded by Ecuadorian kids at the gym and my daughter days, but they were born here. To see this.
Those are the happiest rooms to visit, I think, right? They're very happy. Yeah. Right, Mike?
I agree.
Yeah.
I'd like to just add, if I may, I think it was a year and a half ago, probably 2 years ago, that you brought up, Mr. Kisco, what do we do with students who are not meeting the criteria to be moved along? And I think that having the board support in promoting that summer school program where students are not going to matriculate unless they complete their coursework and the required coursework was integral and paramount to moving that. Word being out, sometimes it's the unfortunate word that, their classmate who may have went from 7th to 8th grade in years prior was now repeating 7th grade because they made a bad choice to not attend summer school and matriculate. So while that's the negative component, I think the positive component is that we have the students receiving their education, receiving their credits, and are able to matriculate so that they can successfully move to the next grade level. And you're right, Sue, and you want to get a smile, you go to the EL rooms during the program. And sometimes, especially in the first week of summer school, the other students aren't too happy to see us there because they're there for a negative reason. However, by the end of summer school, I will say that success, and I remember this room in particular, that success with those high school students receiving those credits and knowing that they can move on and high-fiving one another and high-fiving the teacher that was with them. That's the story, right? So while sometimes summer school unfortunately does have a negative connotation, I think the positive connotation is you couldn't do it successfully during September through June, but you had 2 months to really, or a month, I should say, to really work hard and work with the teachers in the room and get the credit you need to move on. So I just wanted to add that because that board support of that initiative at the time was paramount to the success we've seen today. And kudos to everyone on that side of the table in the Office of Teaching and Learning Department that made it happen.
Thank you. Sue, I think I cut you off. You were asking questions about offering this as a tuition.
Oh, no, that's all right, because so off case, because we weren't even discussing that, but that would just be, more for comments for good of the order, but it sounds like it's something we should definitely pursue if there's interest. People were just showing up.
Yes,
Maybe.
yes, we're just showing up and, yep.
How did we not know they weren't our students?
Have Mary, help me with
Some
this,
of
we
them
made some
had
calls,
been
right?
and then had moved, and that decision had been made prior to summer school, but it was, and that wasn't communicated, and so they were in here.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Good report. Good report for a good program. Working again. Any changes for next year we're thinking of already, or will that develop this?
The challenge, I think the biggest challenge we have is the timing. Staff, teachers, as you would imagine, want to be able to know and be asked to teach summer school as early as possible so they can start planning their summer. However, the numbers of students, our student count isn't typically finalized until late May. So finding that balance and being able to commit to teachers for summer school, and then not really knowing how many we actually need until a couple months down the road is hard. So we're gonna try and figure out a workaround for that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you again for the report. Testing results, you again.
So, when I walked in here tonight, I spoke to John just really quickly, and he mentioned that it might like to go into more detail with testing results next month. So we can just give a quick little overview. A couple weeks ago at the full board meeting, we talked about our STAR and DIBELS testing. At that time, we did not have, state had not publicly released the state assessment data. They only did that late Friday, at which point we pulled as much of it together as we were able to in order to get it to you folks in the board packet. However, we found even as late as today that they're still filling in some of the blanks. So you might have noticed on some of the things, the charts in the board packet, there were some asterisks where there wasn't a numeric value. We have some of those numeric values filled in. Josh, if you could put up the, I guess the one that says all students, this one with the two, the ELA and the math.
SAT, yeah.
Do you have that one? That one was in the packet.
Oh, okay.
In the meantime, this one that has ELA at the top and math at the second half of the page. I think the story here, and please feel free to jump in, anybody. if you look at ELA, for example, the red bar in this horizontal bar graph, so red is this current year, 24-25. That was this year's testing. The black bar is 23-24, so a year ago. If you look at the red bars, in every single grade level that's tested for ESPA, we have made improvements, right? So the bars are going in the right direction. It was Michael's idea to use Torrington colors. I'll give credit where it's due, but I think that's the real story. So this chart is all students, and the bars are labeled with the percentage, and these represent kids that met or exceeded proficiency. We didn't do anything this time about growth, although that's really where we can tell a happy story, but we just wanted to show you who met the benchmark and who didn't. So both in ELA and math, you can see that we're going in the right direction. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're celebrating these wins. We're very proud of these wins. I think the board probably recognizes that, you know, you folks made a huge investment a couple of years ago, and it's paying off. I mean, we invested over $1 million in a new literacy program, a new literacy resource, and then a lot of professional learning for our teachers and to use that resource. And we're getting a return on investment. We're very excited about it. We really are. So if you look at the chart that says by demographic, so I know that Gary's question is going to be, why did we only cite a couple of subgroups? Because that was, when we went in to look at subgroup by demographic, by race and ethnicity, we only were, all that was provided for us at that point was for white and Hispanic Latino. They didn't have enough data yet. It was all compressed for any of the other races that are listed. So we will keep working on that. Again, there's a lot of good information here. I think that, you know, we're getting there by grade level, or by grade level and by year, if you look. And then, Josh, do you have the one that's high needs?
Yes.
I think that's the one that we updated this afternoon. So high needs encompasses free and reduced lunch, English learners, and students with IEPs. That's the old one. Do you have the newer one?
It's the most recent one.
Oh, okay. Well, yes. Oh, thank you. Yes, everyone, everyone, yes. However, the state still knows the percentage of students who actually fall into that subgroup, yes. So they're able to give us that breakdown. Because research tells us that students who are economically disadvantaged are not going to perform. That's the theory, right? So anyway, if you look at the updated hard copy that just went around, you can see that the N is for not high needs. So it's broken down this way, and the Y is yes, that is the high needs group. So if you look here, in many cases, there are a couple of declines, but in many cases, there's an increase here. And again, when you look at math, I mean, math is really where we're expanding our focus. We're excited. We had our first professional learning day in math, right, Lisa, on Friday? And maybe you can speak to that a little bit. I think it was very exciting, right?
There was a lot of excitement in the room, and I just think everybody truly believes that we're gonna get all students there. A lot of hands-on, story-based, real-world problems, very engaging for students, manipulatives built in, and a lot of ways to provide access for all students. So it's an exciting time with the new program.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know, do you have anybody have anything?
Let me just explain what I anticipate will happen. And this, I think, is the way it happened last year as well. we had a brief discussion at the September meeting as soon as the state had issued the results. And we told people to look at what they've been given, but also to go on Ed's site. Ed's site is the state's statistical, everything is there, but SBA results are there as well. So, and if you don't remember that, just send me an email tomorrow or text me tomorrow and say, hey, where's that place you're talking about? Easy to find. The information is all there. You click a little bit and give the information any way you want it. So whatever particular questions or orientation you might have about wanting to look at the results, you'll be able to make it do that. So we will have a longer discussion if people want one, if people have questions and want to discuss things at the October school improvement meeting. And then we will decide if people want one, maybe for the whole board, which we ended up doing last year. May not need to do that this year, may decide to do that, but that's my intention. That sound good to everyone? Anyone complain? Thank you for not complaining. Sue, thank you for getting this information out to us and starting the discussion on this. BOE self-evaluation process. Last year, what we did was to look at the core goals and gave people a chance to suggest their own things they would like to be able to comment about. And we got a few, Sue, you submitted a couple of questions that we, and I think Jeff Putnam had one, and that was all. But we ended up using the goals plus the suggested things people wanted us to look at, and letting people comment on those, and then AI did its magic, put together responses in form, and that was what we used as the basis for discussion at a meeting of.
Retreat or word retreat, very helpful.
Yeah,
The AI format, I thought was.
I think we were happy with it last
Yes.
year. By the time we were done, we were happy with the way it went. But, so now I guess the question is, do we want to do it again that way this year? Or are there changes we should make in the way we did it?
Say yes.
So, we do it again?
It
So
was
at some point-
it was very easy, you did 99% of the work, so if you were comfortable with that format and you want to.
It was
Proceed that
a
way.
lot of work, but it had a useful product. I was happy with the process. I was happy with the result. So happy to do that again. Maybe you and I can text back and forth, Sue. You and I can text back and forth just about starting the process and when we want.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It was
Okay,
helpful
so-
to.
That's what's gonna happen there unless someone starts throwing stuff at me saying no.
Can I make a suggestion, John?
Yes.
John, I was just going to say, is it possible to ask, maybe we could ask the board members to come up with one question. Not only did it give you a lot of questions to go with, but maybe it helps get an idea for what each board member thinks is important in self-evaluation. It's kind of, how does everybody view it? I know we asked last time, but maybe we could nudge everybody to just come up with one.
We could do it again this year. That was what we did last year, and 2 people, you were one of them.
I always have a question.
No, I did not.
Someone did. But anyway, we'll do it,
Question.
we'll do it the same way. We'll give people a chance, but I think, Jeff, you're saying people should take advantage of that opportunity, right?
Absolutely. It's just everybody's opinion matters, and it helps. Maybe the questions help us understand how somebody else views the board. You know, if they're asking the question, they must have a concern.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll get something out between now and the whole board meeting, so we can have a chance to discuss it quickly at the whole board meeting, just to put us all on the same page then. But that's a couple weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, I think. I'm not sure. Full visit schedule. This is on the agenda just so we can discuss and make a conscious decision as to whether or not we want to do it this coming year, same way we did it last year, where we focus on, there'll be 3 K-3 schools. One time, we have the FAST Academy. I'd like to take a look at that. And then the intermediate school, middle school, high school, and we would set up meetings in those buildings for the committee on those dates, right? Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. I will have a suggested timetable the next time we can. Topic for future meetings. Go ahead, talk about what you want to talk about.
I have a couple, but for people to think about, number one is AI. It's far more complicated than I ever thought. I've watched a podcast with Sal Khan from Khan Academies. Microsoft came out with a study last week on the good things about AI education and the bad things. How it should be used. The hardest part's going to be actually implementing it in the education process. Those that have tried so far to date have not had much success. It creates a lot of problems for teachers, not only for them using it, they suggest for the teachers being to use AI for whatever reasons it's good for, but from the student standpoint, it's created a lot of problems. And I have two friends in Massachusetts and Boston in the school system. As teachers have experienced a lot of problems with students cheating, number one, and how the administration handles that, because you can't prove that they used AI, only if you get software, you can buy apps for it. But it's created a lot of problems in Massachusetts for some of the teachers that I know, but also Microsoft, Sal Khan, I should say, and other think tanks have been pondering how education will absorb it and use it. And along with that, books versus technology probably forces a lot of these programs to go back to books in a lot of ways because of the cheating. A lot of colleges are going to blue books. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it takes more than a week's worth of discussion to figure out how and how teachers can use it. So that's going to take a while.
And you have volunteered to at least prepare a format for the discussion.
I can do that.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that. Other topics for future. Comments for the good of the order? Richard?
Great meeting, thank you.
Great meeting. I just want to echo one thing. I mean, I know Sue had said the growth chart would be overwhelming because that's where we really show a lot. But as this group has heard and the full board has heard, where the growth and proficiency are starting to see an increase. And to share that this evening and Sue sharing it beautifully with her team is amazing that our proficiency numbers are actually going in that same direction. And that's the goal, right? Growth is great. We want to promote growth. We want to continue to grow, but we want to see those proficiency numbers grow. Exactly happening. So I know I'm excited and I hope every board member is excited because that's exactly the story that we need to get out there.
This is always one of my favorite subcommittee meetings, especially at the beginning of the year when we get the test scores and the updates and things like that. So thank you for sharing always and keep the information coming. It's a little disappointing that we didn't have as many staff members show up for this information as we are for policy, but thank you for sharing.
Thank you. This is gonna be my last school improvement meeting as your teacher rep, as TEA is looking to get new reps in, and I'll miss you guys because this has been my
You
favorite
can still come.
subcommittee for so long. So thank you. I might, because it actually is, John.
It
So
is.
thank you.
It's the best subcommittee we have.
We
It
will-
really gets to the nitty-gritty.
Be replaced by,
We don't know yet, but
I got a name in my email today.
You
We
did?
don't know yet, so I won't step on it.
okay.
But thank you, Ron, for everything.
Well, it has been a pleasure working. Thank you.
Just want to go back to the test scores really quick. Huge thank you to all of our amazing teachers here in Torrington Public Schools, as well as our central office staff. Those test scores are a testament to the hard work and dedication that you give to our students each and every day. So thank you, and keep up the great work.
It was a great meeting. I'm glad to hear about all the success in the summer program, even with some challenges that were talked about. Also, it was interesting to hear the brief presentation about the test scores. I'm glad that it's showing progress, and hopefully that will continue. Although I don't think that I'm not a real fan of standardized testing. I don't think the test scores be all and end all of what and how a particular student is uh, is learning and progressing. I understand that they need to happen, but I think that there are other things that need to be considered as well.
Superintendent talked about how we push for these changes. I think a lot of us did. When I started, we didn't do a lot of these things, and there was a push on a lot of fronts. Even when I didn't like the idea of some of the changes, but whether it's testing, as Bill talked about, or it's the kids getting the time necessary, the support they get, the summer school, keeping them the discipline. It all comes together as it's been proven over the last 100-some years, that it's all integral, and the kid leaves third grade and can't read, well, going to fourth isn't gonna help. But if you can tutor him, or our interventionists, or summer programs, it all contributes to better scores. So, thank you. It's wonderful.
No, thank you very much for the opportunity to share.
Thank you for your support.
I echo both of them. Thanks for the opportunity to share your support.
I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited about it.
Great meeting. Kudos to everybody for summer school. It was a great experience and looks like success.
John? Thank you all. Thank you all for.
Thank you.
When did you give us a long time?
Yeah, the first time.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Hi.
We're adjourned.
Right, I understand. policy meeting. It's Wednesday, September 3rd. It is 6:17. Everybody on the committee's. Everybody on the committee is here, so let me do roll call. I guess the agenda's been approved already, John, just so you know. I thought you said we'd explain it again.
You have to approve the agenda.
I'm sorry, you said it was the minutes. All right.
Well, I started that.
All the motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Public participation, members of the public and staff may bring to the committee's attention information, ideas, or matters concerned related to all the duties and responsibilities of this committee. We have a list tonight. We will not allow comments regarding specific staff members or personal grievances. The remarks will be apportioned according to the number of speakers. We'll be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. First on the list is Kristen Conway, as a parent.
As a parent. Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Conway, address 27 East Lawn Drive, Torrington. I am a proud member of the Board of Education. However, I am speaking to you tonight as a parent of an 8th and 10th graders. Like many others, I was informed of the new no backpack rule the same time as everyone else on welcome back night, 4 days before school started. As a parent, school supplies, including 2 very expensive backpacks, had already been purchased. Ample notice should have been given. I would like to tell you about what my 8th grader carries on a daily basis while moving between the 1st and 3rd floor. Materials for 3 classes at a time, which are not limited to a notebook, binder or folder, and a workbook per class. So this is 3 classes at a time. On top of class materials, she carries a Chromebook with the case, Chromebook charger, and wired headphones, not to mention a water bottle. In addition, she must also carry her Invisalign case and bands, which need to be changed 4 times daily. As a female student, she also needs to have feminine products available without notice. Let's be honest, a 12 and 13-year-old girl is still learning how to plan for such instances. Running to her locker for an emergency while possibly navigating an embarrassing experience is not a middle school memory I'd like my child or any other children to have. I am asking that small bags be allowed to carry hygiene products at all times. For many girls, it is simply too late to walk to your locker or to the nurse's office. I'm asking the board to consider a policy allowing small bags to be used at TMS as a result of the no backpack rule. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy Mangan, she's next. She here?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening. I am speaking this evening as the president of the Torrington Education Association. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the draft policy regarding staff dress code. I attended a committee meeting on August 11th. A draft policy was shared with us and a respectful dialogue occurred. There were changes made to the draft prior to it being sent to time. It was shared that the policy committee would meet on September 3rd to discuss the draft. As it is still in draft form, my hope is will be consideration of the feedback shared by the stakeholders in the district. At the end of August, after spending some time reflecting upon the draft policy, I emailed the committee with some thoughts for revisions. Since the draft policy had already been sent to legal, Kim asked me to speak to my suggested revisions at this committee meeting. I would like to offer some feedback and request clarification on a few points that may benefit from further consideration, particularly as they relate to the practicality and morale of staff. In this paragraph, the introductory paragraph of the policy, in this paragraph, the second sentence, I would suggest a change from professional standard of dress to professional attire, since professional attire is used when examples are given in the next sentence. Graphic t-shirts. The current wording prohibits all graphic t-shirts, which raises questions about whether this includes shirts worn for school spirit or educational purposes. For example, it is common for staff to wear custom t-shirts for events such as Welcome Back Night, Meet the Teacher, and Spirit Days. We also participate in Red for Ed Days to show support for public education, often wearing red t-shirts with professional and positive educational messages. These shirts foster school spirit, promote unity, and are often well received by students and families. Would such shirts fall under the proposed ban of graphic t-shirts? If the intent is to prohibit offensive or inappropriate graphics, I respectfully suggest revising the language to specify offensive or unprofessional graphic t-shirts rather than a blanket ban. This would allow for continued support of educational initiatives and community building efforts through attire that is appropriate and meaningful. Sweatshirts. Similarly, the policy currently includes sweatshirts on the list of prohibited clothing. There are many shirts made of sweatshirt material that are styled to look quite professional. Again, if the concern is with inappropriate graphics or overly casual appearance, perhaps a revision to offensive and unprofessional graphic sweatshirts would better capture the intended standard without limiting otherwise appropriate options. Athletic footwear. The policy appears to restrict athletic shoes for certified teaching staff while allowing exceptions for nurses, RBTs, custodians, and paraeducators. I would like to share some thoughts about this limitation. Many educators, both new and experienced, wear sneakers that are clean, appropriate, and paired with professional attire, dresses, capris, etc. Teachers are constantly on their feet, leading instruction, escorting students, supervising lunch and recess, and responding quickly to student needs, including emergencies. Some staff are also experience chronic foot, leg, or back issues exacerbated by long hours on concrete flooring. Given the physical nature of teaching, particularly in elementary settings, athletic shoes are often a necessary rather than a choice. Should staff seek medical documentation or ADA accommodations to be able to wear such supported footwear? I encourage the committee to consider a revision that allows for professional-looking athletic shoes or shoes worn for health and safety reasons to ensure teachers can perform their duties effectively and safely. It's important to recognize that the effectiveness of a teacher is not determined by attire alone. While professionalism in appearance is certainly valued, flexibility in the policy, especially where safety, comfort, and school spirit are concerned, would be appreciated by many staff members. A thoughtfully balanced dress code can uphold professional standards while also respecting the dynamic and demanding nature of teaching. Thank you for your time and consideration of the feedback.
Thank you. Ms. McGillicuddy.
Why, thank you. Well, thanks. I'll get there fast.
Good evening. My name is Maggie McGillicuddy. I live at 675 Heron Drive. This is my 23rd year as a science teacher at Torrington High School, where I currently serve as the science department chairperson. My daughter is a senior at THS this year, and my other two children are alumni. I believe that Torrington schools employ professional, skilled, compassionate, and knowledgeable staff. During my career here, I have felt supported and encouraged by our district leadership to hone my teaching skills, support and encourage my colleagues, and work to the betterment of our students. I do not believe that the proposed employee dress code would result in any benefit to the students, community, or my professional practice. As a science teacher, my main concern is safety for students and staff. District safety protocols require me to move quickly in the case of an emergency. OSHA recommends footwear in situations where, quote, by reason of hazard of processes or environment, which could cause foot injury. Other professional organizations like Lab Manager and colleges and universities like Cornell suggest slip-resistant soles that offer comfort and support. Personally, standing for many hours during the day has led to my own foot issues, which have required medical intervention. Additionally, when mentoring science students in a science lab, spills happen. I need to be able to move quickly and safely around the room. Sneakers provide me with the ability to adhere to district procedures, protect my health, and allow me to perform my teaching duties safely. I have looked at school policies in both our demographic reference group, our DERG, and Litchfield County. Of the 17 schools in our DERG and 24 cities and towns in our county, only one contract states teachers should wear clothing that demonstrates their high regard for education and presents an image consistent with their job responsibilities. Teachers have to make thousands of decisions per day, and no one day will be like the one before or the one after. Our responsibilities require us to act as mentors, coaches, informal counselors, and safety officers. The current language in our staff handbook states that teachers should, quote, dress appropriately for our assignment. Trying to write a policy with more specificity cannot possibly address all of the varied scenarios and situations that might occur in a typical school day. I'm sure you have all visited many classrooms around Torrington and have witnessed outstanding examples of teaching and learning. Teachers create supportive, encouraging, and succeed, and teachers help build rapport with kids, in part by demonstrating school spirit and representing the school community. I am always complimented by students and community members when I represent student groups. As you can see, I love wearing my unified sports hoodie, my tennis coaching shirt, my very proud THS marching band mom sweatshirt, and of course my t-shirt celebrating Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, and Newton. I wear all these other Raider gear that support student fundraising efforts as well on any day of the week. In fact, I would like to wear my THS swim shirt on Friday in honor of our first swim meet this season. Limiting these shows of Raider pride will erode the relationships that I and my colleagues work so hard to establish. Finally, I would ask for your trust. Trust that I will provide a safe, welcoming, encouraging, challenging learning environment for students while upholding the policy that is already part of our handbook. Continue the current policy and have faith that I will dress appropriately for my assignment. Believe that your building administrators will address specific concerns with individual staff members as needed. Please trust that I will hold myself to the highest professional standards and will carry out my teaching responsibilities with professionalism and safety when working with students, colleagues, and families. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael McCutter.
Hi, I'm Michael McCotter. I teach at Torrington Intermediate School, and I've been in our district for 12 years. I want to again thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I want to echo the sentiment of the policy that we represent our school, our district, and our community well. I just ask that while this policy is in draft form, that there might be a couple of things that you might consider. One of the particular issues is wearing sneakers. As a elementary school teacher, many of us have recess duty multiple times a week. And so that involves going outside on the blacktop, on the grass, and wearing professional shoes just isn't always realistic there. It also just isn't practical to always change our shoes during the middle of the school day. A kindergarten teacher trying to change their own shoes while trying to get a bunch of kids ready for recess just doesn't always make sense. Again, our safety protocols require that we are able to move quickly in case of an emergency. Having sneakers allows us to do so. I think one of the issues that may come up if this policy does pass is that administrators are going to be overloaded with ADA compliance issues. I think, as someone already spoke about some of the issues with their feet from teaching, I think there's a lot of other educators that will need to go talk to their doctors about that, create an extra burden for our administrators. And then the other piece that I'd like you to look at is, again, looking at the graphic tees. There are many instances where we wear our school gear or then other educational t-shirts. For example, one of my former students gave me a periodic table of Star Wars shirt that I like to wear at school because I teach science and I'm a bit of a Star Wars nerd as well. And so again, being able to wear that shirt at school where they can see it, again, establishes that relationship with them. So again, I understand the intent of this policy. I would ask that you look at a couple of those pieces. And again, ask that our administrators talk to those people that are having the issues instead of necessarily needing to pass a blanket policy that addresses all teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Lane Reedman, and I can't really read the last part of it. Okay. No, as Lane Reedman.
I'm Elaine Reedman-Cerveski, and I have been teaching almost 30 years. Believe it or not, I started teaching in Torrington at East School in 1981, so I've been around a while, left and then came back. I would like to speak on behalf of especially the preschool and the special education programs regarding this proposed dress policy. After 3 years in the pre-K Voices program, which if you're not aware is for significantly delayed autistic students, and nearly 30 years teaching in special ed and preschoolers, I wanted to share the unique realities of our work. Our classrooms are not traditional desk-based environments. We spend most of the day on the floor with children. We change diapers, assist children who cannot yet feed themselves, and guide students with significant developmental delays through basic daily skills such as covering a cough or learning to wipe their own noses, which takes all year to do. Safety is also a daily concern. At any moment, we may need to run after a child to prevent injury. Supportive footwear such as sneakers designed for activity is essential for us to respond quickly while protecting our own health and safety as well as the children. Canvas slip-ons or dress shoes do not provide the support or stability needed in these situations. The constant bending, lifting, and movement required in our day also calls for clothing that is both professional and practical. Comfortable, easy to clean options such as leggings or neat athletic pants paired with a top effectively in maintaining a respectful appearance. I respectfully ask that any dress policy takes into account the specific needs of early childhood and special education staff, and that is not limited just preschool, as the younger grades especially are on the floor as well. Our work is hands-on, physically demanding, and centered around children with developmental challenges. Flexibility in footwear and clothing is not about convenience, but about ensuring safety, hygiene, and the ability to fully engage with our students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Sullivan.
Good evening, and thank you all for letting me speak tonight. My name is Erin Sullivan, and I am an English teacher at Torrington High School. I faithfully served this district for 22 years. I believe it is the goal of the Board of Education, school administration, and district employees to have students and families see staff as approachable, competent, and professional. I am concerned that the employee dress code policy as written will actually impede these aims, damaging collegiality and doing more harm than good. I respectfully ask that you reconsider components of this policy before putting it forward. My professionalism is reflected in how I teach and how I listen to students, how I engage with families. While I recognize the intent of this policy, when what I do or wear is overly prescribed, the research has found that these relationships have a measurable positive effect on student achievement, and the impact is even stronger in supportive school environments. Students thrive when they see their teachers as approachable and supportive, and teachers thrive when they feel supported and empowered. Please help me be flexible in the needs of my students by avoiding any policies that are overly prescriptive. Educators spend most of the day on their feet, as people here have indicated already. Relaxed clothing, especially in the high school where we share classrooms, including athletic shoes, are durable, comfortable, and functional for the job. At our new building, we travel across 4 floors and multiple classrooms throughout the day. Our employees across grade levels work with supplies that can stain or damage clothing. The more rigid the restrictions are, the more difficult it becomes for teachers to adapt and to create authentic hands-on learning environments. Students need to see themselves represented in the adults around them, such as in how we model belonging and pride in our schools. When we wear volleyball t-shirts, music hoodies, or fundraising gear, we are showing students that we stand with them, support their programs, and invest in their success. Prohibiting school-branded apparel outside of the limited spirit days directly undermines both our ability to connect with students and our program's ability to raise funds. For many of us, these t-shirts are not just clothing, they are tangible signs of our solidarity with our kids. Help us to help our students by removing such limitations. Allow us to be Raider strong, Raider proud, and Raider loud. The majority of staff dresses appropriately for the position, and our staff handbook already requires attire appropriate to the assignment. No prescriptive list each educator's role demands on a given day. In one day, I may act as teacher, counselor, coach, and hallway supervisor. Concerns can and should be addressed individually, not by restricting everybody. Policies aimed at rare outliers risk eroding the morale of our best and most dedicated educators, the very people we should be empowering. I urge you to choose battles that build efficacy and efficiency, which I don't believe the policy currently written would be able to do. The new school climate policy, Public Act 23-167, defines school climate around the quality of relationships in our schools and requires that schools foster environments where everyone, including staff, feels welcome, safe, and included. A restrictive dress code that itemizes banned items runs counter to this mandate by eroding trust and discouraging the sense of belonging that is essential to positive school climate. This policy imposes punitive restrictions that risk undermining the very climate improvements we are obligated by law to create. I respectfully ask that the committee reconsider the policy as written, remove all restrictions on athletic shoes, as those line items do not account for the realities of a teacher's job or the mandates of our district safety protocols. Maintain the current language that employees are expected to dress in a way that is professional, safe, and appropriate to the role. Encourage good judgment and leave room for supervisors to address where concerns is needed. Ensure that safety, equity, and importance of student-teacher relationships guide the policy, and allow for school-branded apparel as part of professional dress to encourage staff visibility, student belonging, and program fundraising. This would help honor the professionalism of educators while aligning with the safety priorities we are already trained to uphold. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my perspective.
Thank you. Sam? I can't read the last name, I'm sorry.
That was me, Eric.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Galway, and I'm an English teacher at Torrington High School. I have also been a student council advisor for the past 5 years. I respectfully ask for you to reconsider the recent revisions to the teacher dress code policy. At the heart of our work as educators is the relationship that we build with our students. School spirit apparel plays a meaningful role in supporting our students and creating a vibrant school culture. Whether it's a senior class crew neck, a soccer t-shirt, a band hoodie, spirit gear from a student fundraiser, these items do more than boost morale. They directly fund and promote our student programs. When teachers wear school apparel, it validates the hard work students put into their extracurricular activities. It shows solidarity, representation, and pride in our community. Students feel seen, valued, and celebrated by the adults that are always cheering for them. Teachers play a key role in creating a positive school culture that motivates the entire student body. Also, when teachers participate by purchasing gear, it directly contributes to raising money for multiple programs. This helps to ensure our teams and programs are well supported financially. Please consider the importance of connection and community. Our shared commitment to student success can be better supported through a more flexible approach to dress. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Should we what?
To share my perspective. Hello, my name is Rick Dubois. I live at 493 Winthrop Street, and I've been a teacher and coach at Torrington High School for 18 years. I'm a class of 1990 THS graduate, and my son also graduated from THS recently. I'm proud to work in Torrington school system because the collective efforts of the Board of Education, school administration, and district employees have created a school district that does amazing things for our diverse student population. We all have the same goal of creating a safe and welcoming learning environment for all of our students. But some elements of this draft dress code policy would unintentionally undermine this goal. Connecting with students helps them feel supported and welcome, and that in turn maximizes their growth in school. When a student sees a teacher wearing a marching band t-shirt or school team sweatshirt, they see an adult who's a proud member of their community and who's one of them. A coach who wears a game day polo in the classroom is showing students that they can be more than one thing. They can push themselves academically and athletically in their school. A staff member wearing clothing that more closely reflects students' daily lives is a more approachable adult. Please continue to allow staff to wear school apparel and clothing that shows students we're proud of our school community and the things they do here every day. Working in a school is a high energy job that requires long hours of standing and constant motion throughout the building. As a physics teacher, I rely on sneakers for stability as I demonstrate concepts we're learning about every day. Additionally, the support sneakers provide help me continue working with our students after hours for extra help, as a coach, and as a spectator at their countless after-school events. Wearing sneakers helps me work with students as actively as possible and for as long as possible every day. In a time when budgets are tight and every dollar must be thoughtfully allocated, implementing a dress code policy that best reflects the daily needs of staff is a cost-free way to support our students. I ask you all to please reconsider this policy based on the feedback of the employees who have shared what they need to support our students best. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Last but not least, Jason Montanari.
Thank you all. Jason Lafreniere, special education teacher, starting my 22nd year yesterday at Torrington Middle School. First of all, to the board and to the administration, the building is beautiful. The kids have and the parents have said nothing but great things about the building, and it is really an electric atmosphere to be there. In regards to the backpack policy, I have been wanting this because I've been scared of what could be brought in those backpacks, what could be hidden in coats. And so keeping those in the lockers for those stipulations when necessary. Students, I think is important. In regards to the dress code policy, a lot of what I wanted to say has already been said. I think I have more questions that I may not be privy to the answers because I wasn't at the original meeting where this draft was put together. Why the specific specification of a particular material of sneaker? I think there's a lot that we're confused on with interpretation of the language. So I think looking at that might be a help to ease some of our concerns on what it is that you're expected. Torrington staff Torrington is raising the bar in all aspects of education, and the Torrington staff will continue to do that and to help the district do that, regardless of what policy is put forward. In the same way that a few students may be the problem or may not follow policies, I think in the same way too, there are staff that don't necessarily dress in a professional way. I think that we need to individualize and deal with those individuals separately, because the majority of us, I think, are doing exactly what we need to do and dressing in a way that is appropriate. Finally, clothing is also a powerful tool for connection. I have a colleague here, his absolute favorite sneakers to school tomorrow because the students are aware of his sneaker collection. He has created a connection with his students that is allowing him to then build a rapport that is going to help him to help their academics. So I think that we need to understand that clothing is a way to connect with students. Attire is an appropriate way to connect with students. Yes, it needs to be done appropriately. We should not be wearing rips. We should not be wearing holes in our clothes. So I just think that answering some of the questions on the ambiguity of the language, specificity of the language, will help us to understand where the board and the administration is coming from in putting this policy together. So I encourage the committee to look closely at the language, clarify expectations, and ensure the policy balances professionalism with practicality and the realities of school life. Clear, consistent guidelines will help us maintain a positive image while also supporting relationships and student success. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Okay. So you had mentioned that.
Yes, I have 6 more to read.
Right, but just real quick, you had mentioned though, with some of the other members that are on our committee, we have to be careful who's admitted
Yes.
to discuss because of the.
We don't, yeah, it would constitute a meeting if we had a quorum of people
From our
participating,
committees.
right? So if anyone's that's not on the committee that's here from the board, we just need to sit back. I'm
Can
simply
I
just
call them?
reading.
Can I include them in a question for their opinions or no? I think
No.
that's the legality.
No.
No.
That we'll discuss as a full board. I think you guys could have enough conversation about the feedback that we've gotten tonight.
Right, this is not a
And
full
things
board.
to take into consideration, right, and then we can discuss as a full board. So these, I think everybody's just here to observe.
Okay.
Everybody's on the same page. I am gonna read the, we received dozens of emails today, only 6 specifically stated. Please read this into the record, so I'm only reading in the 6 that asked for that. Samantha Verbicus. Due to sports conflict for her children, she can't attend tonight, so she has asked for the attached to be read into the record. I'm writing to express some concerns and seek clarification regarding the new dress code policy for faculty and staff in Torrington. Due to a series of injuries and subsequent surgeries, I have specific footwear needs that are dictated by medical advice. While I am able to wear professional shoes on certain days, most days I rely on orthotic footwear for comfort and support. Until this new policy, I did not find it necessary to address this matter. I noticed that the policy allows for certain staff members such as RBTs, nursing staff, and others to wear sneakers, but it appears that teachers are excluded from this exception. I would appreciate further clarification on why this distinction exists. Specifically, I am concerned that it may unintentionally suggest that teachers who often have variable movement throughout the day do not require similar footwear flexibility. Additionally, I'm unclear about the inclusion of canvas or non-supportive athletic shoes in the policy, while orthotic footwear is not mentioned as an acceptable alternative. I would appreciate further insight into the reasoning behind the decision. While this flexibility in policy is wonderful for staff, for me personally, flat canvas sneakers are not an option. Finally, I would like to understand what the procedure would be for staff members like myself who must wear specialized shoes to meet the demands of our roles. The current policy does not provide clear guidance on how exceptions or accommodations are handled in such cases. Thank you for considering my concerns. I look forward to your response and any additional information you can provide regarding this matter. Samantha Berbickus, Torrington High School, and I did respond to her appropriately on the medical condition. The next one is Marcy Chappelle. Right, so this is the part she wants right into the record. I wanted to attend the dress code policy scheduled for Wednesday evening, but I am unable to attend. I wanted to take a minute to address the part that mentions no athletic shoes. I have reached the age that I need to wear orthopedic sneakers like Hoka's and Brooks, Ufas, etc. That they are definitely not stylish or fashionable, but they enabled me to be able to stand on my feet all day to address my kindergarten students. Legs and back no longer hurt. They have been a life changer. Part of being an effective kindergarten teacher involves me walking around to help them academically, emotionally, and socially. I rarely sit during the day. This small article of clothing helps me to do my job at a higher level. I pride myself on excellent attendance over the last 31 years. Good attendance, good teacher attendance impacts student success in schools. I feel that wearing these sneakers decreases my number of doctor's appointments and sick days. I do know that many of my peers in various grades feel the same way about this topic. Thank you for your time, and please let me know if you need more information or have any questions. Next one is from Erica Hirschfeld to the Board of Ed members. This written comment is being submitted as public participation for the policy meeting on September 3rd, 2025, as I unfortunately cannot attend. I would like to share some perspectives with the dress code policy at a secondary level. In the past, our team has been known for its spirited approach and truly enjoyed when we dressed up, whether in school-related t-shirts or coordinated outfits. This became a meaningful tradition that students look forward to and often initiated themselves. On several occasions, students have asked me to match with them on particular days, and saying yes has helped build a strong sense of rapport and connection. Losing that opportunity would take away the valuable way to strengthen relationships with students. Building connections with middle school students can be challenging, so when opportunities arise, we should make every effort to embrace them. Additionally, I'm concerned about how to respond to students if they ask to participate in something as simple as dressing alike, and I have to decline due to policy restrictions. This could unintentionally send the wrong message about our priorities. I believe that comfort while still maintaining professionalism is essential for teachers. If we are distracted by being uncomfortable, it takes our focus away from what matters most, the students in the curriculum. Allowing some flexibility supports both positive student relationships and teacher effectiveness. This concern extends beyond comfort. It directly relates to preparedness in emergency situations. Alice training emphasizes the need for staff to be able to move quickly and respond without hesitation at any given moment. The clothing we wear, therefore, is merely not a preference but a safety consideration that enables teachers to act effectively in protecting and safeguarding their students. Just as a note to that, my own note, Alice training does not require certain types of clothing. And just to be clear that we want to make sure that everyone understands we're not violating anything by these suggestions. What is the next? Dear BOE members, this written comment is being submitted as public participation for
Policy Committee on September 3rd, 2025. Sorry, I can't be there in person. On average, educators work about 53 hours a week, and most of that time is spent on our feet, teaching, moving between shared classrooms and fulfilling duties like lunch or hall monitoring. At our new campus, many of us switch rooms and even floors multiple times a day, which means we're constantly on the move. That kind of daily routine requires a lot of flexibility, both in how we teach and how we dress. Being able to choose attire and shoes that are both professional and comfortable helps us keep up with the demands of the day. It is not about being casual, it's about being able to do our jobs effectively. It's also not just about comfort in today's reality. We also have to be ready for emergency situations. Alice training has taught us the importance of mobility and quick response. Wearing flexible, practical clothing isn't a luxury, it's a safety consideration. There's also an important relationship piece to consider here. When students see us in school t-shirts, whether it's for autism awareness or TMS gear, team shirts like Ruby 7 or Team Torrington, they see more than just what we're wearing. They see that we're proud to be part of the school community. It builds connection and school spirit in a way that's immediately relatable for the kids. They get it, they feel it, and it matters to them. Allowing teachers professional judgment over their attire isn't about lowering standards, it's about trusting educators to dress in a way that supports their work, their safety, and their relationships with their students. Thank you for your consideration and for all you do for the students and staff of Torrington Public Schools. Respectfully submitted, Katie Wood, ELA TMS Coordinator, 7th grade ELA teacher. J.C. Deloy. Dear Mrs. DePretis and board members, this written comment is being submitted as public participation for the Policy Committee on September 3rd, 2025, on behalf of grade team 2 at Torrington School. As educators, we are entrusted each day with the responsibility of teaching, nurturing, supporting, and protecting our students. Fulfilling this role requires constant movement, circulating the classroom, kneeling to meet students at their level, sitting on the floor during activities, and walking with them to specials, lunch, and recess through areas that may include wood chips, grass, ice, or snow. Rarely do we sit still, To perform our work effectively and ensure the safety of our students, we need the ability to choose footwear that best supports us. For many, that means wearing sneakers. Sneakers provides the necessary support to prevent injuries that could impact our ability to teach. Proper footwear reduces strain on the feet, knees, hips, and back, while also enabling us to move quickly when needed. This mobility is essential not only for keeping pace with our students, but also for implementing important safety protocols such as ALICE as efficiently and securely as possible. Just as footwear supports our physical work, clothing can strengthen our sense of teamwork and community. Torrington Public Schools is a team. Each school, each grade level, and classroom plays a vital role. Many teachers choose to wear t-shirts that represent their grade or position, which fosters camaraderie and positivity within the school community. These shirts meet professional standards for coverage and length, and students often respond with enthusiasm and pride. As professionals with advanced degrees, we are well equipped to exercise sound judgment in our choice of attire. Being allowed this flexibility enables us to dress in a way that balances comfort, professionalism, and functionality. When educators feel comfortable and confident in what they wear, they bring greater energy, focus, and positivity to their classrooms, benefiting both themselves and their students. Thank you for your time and consideration on this matter. Sincerely, Stacy Deloy, Natalie Giampaolo, Ricky Lorenzen, Matthew Master Giovanni, Christine Paclemba, grade 2, Torrington School. This is from Sarah Brewer at Torrington High School. Good evening, my name is Sarah Brewer and I am a 15-year teacher at Torrington High School. I wanted to express my concerns over the proposed staff dress code. As educators, our work demands flexibility, mobility, and strong connections with our students. A rigid dress code risks undermining those needs rather than supporting them. Teaching is not a desk job. On any given day, teachers are moving quickly between classrooms, crouching beside students to provide support, demonstrating labs, or participating in hands-on activities. Our campus design already requires movement across shared spaces, and restrictive attire rules would make these responsibilities more difficult, not easier. Safety must be a top priority. ALICE training and other emergency preparedness drills make it clear that mobility is essential. Sneakers and flexible clothing are not fashion statements. They are tools that enable us to respond quickly and effectively to protect students in the event of a crisis. Our clothing also plays a role in building community. School spirit, apparel, whether it's a volleyball shirt, band hoodie, or class designated t-shirt, fosters pride. Strengthening relationships and supporting student programs, restricting these items would limit this important tradition. Reducing opportunities for staff to model pride in our students and taking them away from the Team Torrington atmosphere that unites students, teachers, and families. Ultimately, the strongest factor in student success is the quality of teacher-student relationships. Approachability matters. When supportive and engaged, it helps create a learning environment where achievement can flourish. I respectfully urge you to consider a dress code policy that prioritizes safety, flexibility, and professional trust. The faculty and staff of Torrington Public Schools are dedicated professionals who can be relied upon to exercise sound judgment in how we present ourselves. A policy that supports comfort, mobility, and community pride will not only serve teachers well, but also directly benefit our students. Thank you for your time and commitment to supporting educators and students alike. Sarah Brewer, Torrington High School.
Thank you. So, John, do we want to start here? Do you have some comments in response or some clarification?
Me? Yeah. No, I've heard it all. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions or want to discuss it? I'm just gonna go to the board, full board. I think.
Yeah, I have several points to discuss.
Yeah.
Um,
I do too.
okay, I don't want to take up way too much time. You have several issues. The first being the athletic shoes. I don't think it's fair to ask the teachers if they can't wear sneakers, reversible sneakers. They've all made excellent points regarding that, and let's face it, you know, students require more hands-on attention than we did 20, 30 years ago. And they are constantly moving and constantly on their feet. And with the shared classrooms, they're moving a whole lot more. So I do have an issue with the sneakers. Also, I don't understand the issue with the light wash jeans. Why is it only dark jeans allowed?
I'll let I'll give my comments. You want to answer that now?
I'm fine with the holes and rips and stains, but I don't understand why light wash is considered inappropriate.
So sure, I can answer kind of where we started with. You know, as you heard from a couple of the comments, we met with some of the members of the unions to kind of go over something, and there was not a lot of examples in our general area. So we looked at like examples from 4 different school districts across the country. And we took those pieces to kind of start with a starting off point. And some of the language that you see here was in those policies. So it was really just, this is a jumping off point. So it's really up for board discussion on how rigid or not rigid, you know, the board wants to be, but the language that you see here came out of sample policies that we got from other districts across the country,
I mean,
K to 12 school districts.
I do understand that point. I do think it's a matter of preference. You know, what looks better on somebody is not gonna look better on the next person. I have 2 daughters, one wears darker jeans, one wears lighter jeans, and that's just how they.
Can I respond to that? Or if you don't want to finish? I don't know how you want me to
I
do
have a
this.
couple other points, but yeah, go ahead.
So in respect to the jeans, only because you know, it's restaurants and they have a lot of employees, but I think, not generally speaking, but I think professionally speaking, in most industries, like on a Friday, for instance, on Wall Street, darker jeans look a little bit more professional. The lighter jeans are considered playwear in most industries. I mean, you typically won't see that. You know, having been in the restaurants, even restaurants, you know, it's always a dark jean because it does look more like a pant. I mean, to go with a lighter jean, this is just my experience. I don't know what we're going to end up with, more to you, I guess. But the lighter jean just means, you know, I don't like the idea of a lighter jean because it's just one more step up for teachers to understand there is a difference. I mean, in the industry, there is a difference whether it's the jean industry, whether it's the restaurants, whether it's, Wall Street. On a casual day, it's not typically a lighter jean, and you can't differentiate colors very well when you get to the lighter, but I think that's probably the reason why a lot of other people in other industries do it, but I'm not fixated on anything right now. We have to discuss it.
The two other things in line 6, a shirt 2 inches above the knee with leggings is unrealistic. I understand a tunic length top or covering the backside or buttocks as it's listed here, but 2 inches above the knee is like you're wearing a dress with leggings. And I really think that we need to do some major work on the graphic t-shirts and hoodies and sweatshirts because we're taking away from the school pride. And that's just not something that I think that we should be doing. And those are my main points.
I have a question on your, on the comment on the 2 inches above the knee. Is that specifically addressing short dresses that are being worn? Or is it, because this isn't just, I mean, just for everyone's information, this just didn't fall out of the sky. We've had complaints from community members, parents, other staff members. Clearly, it's not people sitting in this room, but you're a quarter of our staff population, not even a quarter. So we do have a lot to consider. But I'm wondering if that 2 inches above, it sounds like a short dress to me. So that's something to highlight. Michael has pages of notes over here that he's taken on every single word that everyone said. He has captured everyone's comments and thoughts. So that's something that we can think about, but just to clarify. Okay, that's the only time I have this, Kristen.
You want to comment on that?
I think it just came out because in number 1, we talked about 2 inches above the knee, and we were trying to kind of stay consistent with that. We talked about that at the committee. So that was, again, kind of language that we just wanted to clarify what was defining that piece. And again, this is a starting off point for the board to consider. So,
I mean, the 2 inches above the knee for line item 1 is fine. For a shirt, it just doesn't make sense.
I think what the committee was initially trying to do, as Kim said, is to kind of define it so that there was some parameter so that we didn't end up with off top, which is sometimes what we have.
Which is perfectly understandable. But covering the backside would probably be a little bit more realistic.
I've got some things, because it's probably gonna go to the board. I think I'm fine with that. I think it would help. Well, let's use the safety issue. At least wear orthotic safety shoes. I don't need safety with people tell, but you can get up this. Nike used to make an orthotic shoe that was basically, but it wasn't a shoe. There are a number of things. I don't think the safety issue, I don't know, they call Kafka. And it's two of the wives who work in the systems. And they reminded me that they wear certain types of shoes. They walk all day, they run all day. And I think you might want to look at the orthotic shoes. I don't know where we're going to end up. I don't know. It may be that everybody goes in or says, okay, let's go on with it. I don't know. From your standpoint, because I was a little upset with the letters we got. Because having been on the board for years, I don't consider this the most important issue, and you probably don't. And there are certain people that have been there a lot. Basically, the members of the board that show up in the union representatives or the teacher representatives. But I just found it something that might get a little pushback on for people on board having to make a final decision, because some of the things that were brought up probably could be overlooked on your part and acceptable, and other things that we may decide we don't need. But it was the same thing over and over again about safety, for instance, but there's a simple solution to that. And orthotics are made all the time and they're cheaper than sneakers. In the restaurant business, my brother, and I was in it too, you could be on your feet from 8 in the morning till after midnight. And you wear a nice professional orthotic shoe. I know some people, and most people who are probably leaning toward a more professional look. I think maybe as a group, we can talk about what's acceptable or not, so we don't, so we don't go back and forth over this. I think that, I don't know how to say this. The active wear or the t-shirts. I've said this before to other teachers. I've had a lot of teachers, mostly the older generation, I'll be honest, who have complained, and some, in the middle level, that we've had more than a number of teachers, and Jason, you mentioned there's a few, but there've been a lot that take advantage of the policy. And it is up to the administrators to enforce. And, the policy, a policy is there to have guidelines. Without a policy, we don't have a policy. We could see from the results in many complaints and sue our parents too. Of some of them with the garb that teachers were wearing. I doubt any of them in this room, but we got 400 teachers or so, and there was 11 others. Be sensible, and you have been sensible in your comments, but try to think about what you can or cannot accept and make it more clear over the next few meetings. But I think the footwear, I don't know for that, but I think the argument about orthotics versus sneakers might give you an option to look at better shoes that are considered professional, but at the same time, a sneaker-like shoe. What you wear the other day, like the pullovers, the students can't wear those. Maybe there's a policy where if there is a game, and I don't know if it would be acceptable or not, where you can wear it certain year, but it became almost an everyday thing for some teachers. Now, probably not at the elementary level, but more at the middle school, high school, where some of the wear was pretty consistent. Principal probably didn't do enough to see if the policy was reasonable or not reasonable, but we do need to have some meetings. We can't leave the old policy the way it was because there were more than a lot of, infractions. We discussed this in the first meeting. I don't know if this is reasonable or not yet. We'll find out. Again, I think that we can probably come to, a nice plan that everybody's happy with. I haven't been involved in this. I think it was, mostly the administration, but I don't think just pushing the sneaker the safety issue should be that important, because you can get a very clear alternative to those. And if certain people want a professional look on the shoes, the students have to be looking as good as we can get them. I think teachers should. The issue of being on their level, I think students need to see what they have to do when they get out of school, how they should dress, how they should look, how it's appropriate for students to dress. They're going to have to send an image someday. I have lots of kids that come to work for us, whether it was phones, and I got on phones 5 years ago, whether it's computers. Kids need to get out of high school knowing what's expected of them. And whether or not they dress like, slobs. And I'll be honest, there were some teachers who dressed like slobs. And, and we all know that. I'm not saying it was the majority, it wasn't, but our policy is going to try to get us in line with something that is easier for the principals to monitor and to maintain, and enforce. And what we have now doesn't work. And you can tell me all day and night. I don't know about the elementary school, so we're talking about middle and high school, but I just think right at the end of the school. I could give you a list, but we're trying to get to a point where everybody's happy with something, I think. And there is a little bit more professionalism in the entire. I use press cases, it's always nice. It's something and Jason, but we need to get somewhere, and it's not going to, in my opinion, it's not going to be what it was before. I think you have to be practical and understand it could work for the overall entire. We're upping the game, guys. You're happy with the results. We've done things that I know I'm talking, but I know but we've done things that they weren't knowing what to do. And I can tell my kids and my grandkids, my relatives in other schools, they have the same kind of dress code we have here. I don't think it's overly burdensome, and I'm expressing my views and cool. see what you guys can come up with. Yes, Bill.
One of the comment that I would like to make in terms of the shoes and orthotics, a couple of the people mentioned that they needed shoes of that type as a medical necessity. And in those cases, we need to keep in keep in mind our responsibility to making accommodations through the Americans with Disabilities Act.
We always, that's our number
Yes.
one priority.
That's
And
why I
that was
brought-
addressed to the people that individually reached out as well, that we would not
That's why I brought up the orthotics.
Right.
You can get
alter from that at all.
I used to wear them because I had plantar fasciitis.
I didn't see those letters, Sue, so.
No, it was, and it just went back to the people that wrote them. Sorry. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for your input.
Great.
Wonderful.
I would like to be recognized by the chair to make a comment,
Okay, can I do that?
Yeah.
not a discussion. My understanding is that this committee would get all the input and then make any changes now, if it takes 2 months, 3 months, however long it takes, and then make a recommendation to the full board. But to not allow a member or anyone to make a comment, I take exception to that. I believe we are here to help everyone, not that we have
That's
to
more for
discuss
the-
and make a decision, but we're here to also be able to make a comment.
Ellen, that was more because it would be an illegal meeting.
That was our.
That's why. That's the only reason that was done.
What
is
would
be-
it be make?
In a legal meeting, if we
If
were all
we
here
participate in a
participating, we
meeting,
have a
it'll
quorum.
constitute
If
a
we're
quorum.
participating, that's illegal.
Given
So
our
that was
lawsuits
why-
lately, we don't want to cross. the
You know, that was the only reason. It wasn't limiting the board from participating. That's
I wanna push
why.
it- I want to push it to the board right away.
Right.
Because it does no sense.
We
for us
need to talk about it as a group and we don't want to violate any.
Now it's.
I know.
You want to push this to the board right away?
I think
For discussion,
with
not
everybody.
as it is, Kristen,
I mean,
for
for us to sit here
discussing.
back and forth without having them involved. doesn't
No,
make
we
a lot
have
of
to-
The
sense.
purpose of having a subcommittee is to do all the legwork, get everything
Right, but we're
done,
not on the subcommittee.
excuse me, to do all the legwork, the committee, to do all the legwork,
Mm-hmm.
get input from anyone that they choose. So if it's recognized by me as a board member or anyone in the community or
Mhm.
anyone,
Mhm.
and then
We
they they do the policy, make a recommendation and send it to the full board.
But you just suggested we debated at the board. I'm not going to debate it twice. But maybe I misunderstood you.
Now what you're doing is my understanding of what you're doing right now is whatever recommendations that anyone presented, you're gonna take to the full board and the full board would discuss.
I think we have to have a special meeting to discuss it, not in a regular board meeting, and this goes along with any big decisions that have been made, we've taken them and discussed as a board. Cell phone policy, everything was discussed as a full board, not just a subcommittee. And
Well, if the
I
subcommittee-
really
I'm not
don't, I'm
saying-
calling a point of order, I really don't wanna have these conversations, this isn't a meeting, it's a subcommittee meeting, and we're going to be in violation of Robert's rules, Ellen, and we
So for
can't do
16
that.
years that I've been on the board
Ellen,
and
please.
I've been in the chair of the policy, I've always done it this way, okay?
Okay, I'm going under the advice of counsel, Ellen, we can't do this,
Okay.
please.
We're not going to go to court again because some people out there downtown.
All right,
takes to court.
can we move on to the
Yes.
next agenda item,
But
please?
let's discuss now between us as a committee. Do we want to debate this and refine it, or do we want to get the input from the board immediately?
No,
No, what?
we need to take input from our staff and our committee
And not the board.
and not the board. We need to come up with a
So
better
then, when you
policy.
do that, keep in mind, by doing that, that's fine, the board can reject it. And then you're back to the drawing board. If we don't have a special meeting and discuss it with the whole board, I don't know why we would have 3 or 4 meetings and we could have
Well,
one.
that wasn't one of the choices. The choice was to bring this to the full board as in like the next board meeting in 2 weeks,
No,
which
special
no.
meeting would be the full.
Okay, special meeting I'm fine with for consideration, but in terms of policy as is, no.
And I don't
I agree
think,
with
that
you.
wasn't being suggested, the
Right, I
policy
agree
as
with
is
you.
go to the full
That's
board.
my point. Someone wants to talk about it too. And so
Right.
does Jeff, and so does. What do you do? What do you want to do?
I think a special meeting is probably, much as I hate special meetings, is probably the appropriate forum for discussion.
I do too, I do too, yeah, I know.
And Bill, what do you think?
I think the easiest, I think that as much as I detest special meetings, I think that, I think this topic warrants one.
Do we have a motion?
Hate tough to solve.
For special meeting?
No, so calls a special.
Oh, okay.
We'll just set it, I'll connect with you guys and get a date.
All right.
Yep.
Do you have comments?
Well, I mean, I do, if I may, I think.
I want to get it out because.
No, I
they wanna
appreciate
know,
that.
they wanna know.
I think a special meeting is in order to discuss the entirety. I think, and Kim articulated this as did Sue, you know, when this task was given, and the policy committee wanted this task to be undertaken, represent gained from all the bargaining groups, and they sat at the table and came up with their best efforts. And as Kim said numerous times, it's written right across it, it's a draft. And I do think in hearing you, Gary, hearing the comments, reading the letters, having conversations with Sandy and I have talked numerous times, as well as the executive committee from the teachers union. I do think that, you know, there has to be something in place. I also think that while this may not be the end all be all and some things may need to be codified, I think you brought up a great point in terms of if we're never going to turn away a doctor's note, I mean, that's going to supersede, right? But there's other alternatives, you know. I think, you know, when you bring up the light jeans versus a dark jean, I think Gary articulated, I think the dark jeans in most cases look just a little more professional if we're going to allow a jean rather than a three-piece suit, for example, right? So I think, you know, there's different ways to look at it. I think this draft though, and I give Kim a lot of credit, and I do give everyone a lot of
Yeah,
credit
it
from the
was a lot,
bargaining groups
ladies,
who
thank
came. You know, I didn't sit
Everybody.
at that table, but afterwards, when Kim, Sue, and I debriefed, the comments from the different members representing the different groups were very, very detailed, even more specific than Kim was able to articulate in this draft. So while people I get are always going to get upset whenever there's change, I mean, that's the. However, some of the recommendations were a lot stricter, and Kim omitted them and made them more palatable for an appropriate draft. So back to my original comment, where I think a special meeting is in order, I would just encourage the board members, especially the subcommittee members, to almost drive this in terms of, you know, looking at it, striking what you like, keeping what you like, whatever the case may be, so that then at that special meeting, you're going to gain input from the other board members, as you should. But I do think it's going to go a long way to Ellen's point about the subcommittee, not necessarily doing their homework or the grunt work per se, but I do think that you being the policy subcommittee have a lot of value added, and you did see this for all intents and purposes first. Not that the other board members didn't read it, but they're not part of this subcommittee, and I'm glad that they did show up this evening. But I think in order to move it forward, and to your point, Gary, you want to get it out there and kind of get the ball rolling. I think that's the easiest way to do it without, you know, micro picking every single word. And I do think there's some clarification. So for example, I'm going to use the elephant in the room about graphic tees, right? This one kind of drives me crazy because I gave everyone on the team a We Are Torrington shirt. I have zero issue with that. That's not a graphic tee. A graphic tee is when you wear a Lilo and Stitch t-shirt. That's not appropriate to wear to school. I rock second grade t-shirt that my friends at Vogel had on the other day. Loved it. Sue and I made a comment to three of the teachers that had it. I wish I had one that I rocked second grade. So the determination of the fine reading, I think we need to go back and do a little bit of a close read. My friend Sandy can help us with close reading. She taught me in my kindergarten grades. But I think we can look at, you know, when people say a graphic tee, there are graphic tees that are not appropriate. You want to wear a periodic table with Star Wars on it? Where's Mike? Awesome. I love it. Great. That's a periodic table with Star Wars on it. But you want to wear a Mickey Mouse flashing the peace sign shirt? I don't think that's appropriate to wear as a professional to teach our students. So I think that's the issue.
And I agree with them. I did the graphics, all these other issues, the graphics for instance, should have been discussed. We're not going to get it done tonight because.
No, and I think that's the purpose of a special, Gary. I'm with you.
How are you, or how are the administrators, or maybe it's just dealt with at the principal's level, going to determine, for instance, what sweatshirt is appropriate? what teacher, I don't know the answer to that. and-
That's where the best judgment and trust comes into play, that they've all expressed, and
Oh, I
and
understand.
respectfully, they're, we're aware of that, and we're not trying to take that away from you. That's where that factor comes into play. And once this guideline is in place, for those that aren't using their best judgment as a professional, then we can proceed accordingly. Without this, without school policy, without policy, we don't have any way to fix things. So that's really, that's the direction of that, the reason for that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I do think you're right, Gary. I think that's, it does have to be monitored and policed, but I do think, when someone brought up, if there's an appropriate sweatshirt kind of material or something, that's different than wearing a flat out gray hoodie and sweatpants to work, right? I mean, I think we have to just be cognizant of that, and I think people understand that, and we could definitely, give some more prescriptive, and I think at the special meeting, having this subgroup kind of lead the charge in that with this is I think this is a great foundational piece. I mean, this was from various parts, not just homegrown. I think this is a really good starting point, and I do think if you look at it and keep what you want to keep and strike what you want to strike, I think that's a really good springboard for a special meeting. And I think after that special meeting, my opinion only, I think you would have something that you could confidently recommend to the full board.
Yeah, I know I understand that most of it. I'm not sure what anybody else.
So thank you for giving me the
But it
opportunity.
is, but I will say, for the sake of the teachers and those in the school system, it is going to rest on the shoulders of the principals, the administrators, to make sure the policies are followed, because I do believe in the past, there was no enforcement. Therefore, like anything else, including my kids and myself, if I'm not supposed to do something, but I want to do it over and over again, no, sooner or later, it just becomes commonplace. And that applied to our students too, so. What's wrong, Berger? You tired?
Giving them the signal, please.
No.
No, but I.
No.
Go ahead.
But so hopefully
going.
that becomes part of it. All right, let's go on to the next thing. That's time. Now, school district assigned device rules and appropriate usage policy.
I don't know why you spit it on me. I have no idea.
So. You want to start this, right? I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think at
Does
the
everybody
last facilities tech meeting, this was a request that came out of that, and I had connected with Rachel on kind of what the ask was to understand it, and so I hope we got it right. Rachel and I communicated back and forth. We sent our current policy to the attorney to get some kind of proposed language that kind of got to, I think, what the board's request was. So you have, they struck kind of one line that was duplicated, I think. So I think you can see it on what's, I think, page 5 of the policy, 10 of the packet. So it says 10 of 17 of the packet. There's one line that they struck because it was duplicated in a weird place, so they didn't strike that. But then the last paragraph on page 11 of your packet just kind of outlines what their recommendations were based on your request, so.
For everybody in the room, I'm not sure.
We should probably give some backstory to why this is.
That's what I was
Yeah.
asking them to do that. Because they're gonna sit there and listen. They didn't explain my expertise.
Well, I wasn't at the
Well,
facilities
it was-
tech, so I don't know, but Rachel maybe
Rachel
wants
did
to
that.
speak to that. Yes.
So
That's okay.
at the last meeting, I presented some numbers of damaged devices, what we billed out, what we were able to collect. And while the numbers are improving since the previous school years, there's still a lot more work to be done, basically. And one of the biggest hurdles is I can't make them pay if they damage something. So that's kind of what this policy is, trying to uphold that agreement that the parents sign, basically stating that, you need to care for this device, you need to, treat it well, keep it clean and in a case and things of that sort, so that these damages don't happen. And then we also, implemented the device protection program to help families who, accidents do happen. So just in case, it would help them in that situations. So basically, this was just to put something in policy stating that, you know, these damages, if they are incurred by your student and they are not covered by the protection plan, they need to be paid. So.
I made one little mistake. Ms. Sterling? I
Yes.
left you out of the conversation before. Do you want to, actually, going back one step to the, you want me?
Sorry, I was just asked to do something, so I was like thrown off for a second. As far as policy.
Yeah, did you want to comment on?
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it over the summer, so it sounded like if you were going back to special meeting, that there just needs to be some discussion again, and the feedback taken into account.
So, thank you, Rachel.
Mhm.
Can we call on Jeff as part of this or no? The discussion, this other policy or no? I don't want to break the rules. What? Do you want to do?
Well, I might be able to help, but Jeff can definitely hit me if I miss something, but, because we had chatted about this. Because Jeff was liking to push things to other committees, so he volunteered you, Gary. But as Rachel said, this is to give some teeth to the policy in terms of if a student does not return. And other districts have done this. So if the student does not return, what can we withhold from them in terms of whether it be a financial restitution before they're allowed to do certain activities? So that was kind of the sentiment from the tech committee. I don't want to mess with, from the tech committee, and they said, well, then it's got to go to policy. And then we went back to tech, and then it came back to policy. I didn't think this is the third time. So we're finally at policy with the third time. So that's kind of the gist of it. And if I missed anything, Jeff, I'm sorry, feel free to jump in.
Just
That's where it
asking
came
for
from.
money either, so.
Yeah.
What we could do, Mr. Chairman, is recess the meeting, and then if Jeff chooses to speak,
Answer later. Yeah, you can talk to him.
we
on
might
phone.
hear it, but it's not part of the meeting because you put us in recess. We could do that.
You could do that.
Just
Just say you're gonna recess this committee until you know that we're back in
I'm
session.
gonna recess this meeting until I know we're back in session.
Oh, my God. You're on, Jeff.
It's
You have to pause. the meeting.
7:29.
Do we need to stop
You
the
need to
live?
stop the Zoom.
Yeah, we need to stop the Zoom link.
You have like 30 seconds. I'm not comfortable with this at all. I still feel like
Well, if
it's
you're not
gonna come back. I just am not comfortable with
I thought you said yes.
everything else that we've been doing. It's been, not that we've been doing, that we've been accused of doing. I am not comfortable bringing in the board to have conversations during this meeting.
All right, so we'll call us back in session.
Sorry.
But I do want to ask Jeff, or I guess the superintendent can speak for him. But
I don't know if I can speak for, I prefer not
So let me ask this
to.
question. The concern has always been, and Jeff's concern was, are we losing money on, and you can correct me, you could say yes or no. But how are we going to continue to go forward if we keep losing money?
And that's a
And what are we going
facilities
to do?
technology question, not a policy question.
Okay. He's done.
I know, Jeff, I'm so
right.
sorry. I know.
I'll catch up with everybody later.
Yeah, I'm sorry, thank you.
Does
I
anybody
appreciate
have
it.
any questions on this?
Stuck with that quick.
Yeah.
Well, we have.
I tried for you.
Sue,
That is the question.
I'm sorry, what?
Can you talk or no?
I can. Yeah, and I think, and I've had the same conversations with Jeff. We've had conversations about this and what we've landed on, and after discussing with council, certain things that we would have suggested that be done can't be done. This is the best case scenario. Aside from a whole other I'm not opening this door, I'm not even feeding this to you right now, but there are other conversations that can be had about technology and computers and equipment. But this is the best case scenario right now
So we
for
got
us
to
to
this
recoup.
point because of the 50,000 or so that was built out. And we got 8,000 back, but.
I'd have to look at the numbers from last meeting.
Yeah, like 8,000 back or something like that, yeah.
We're losing money right
Yeah.
now. On these, this technology, and then we have the insurance, we have everything, so. The concern is, if we don't find a way to get people to share, we won't have to come to it, because we can't afford it. So, I mean, it's what we have, kind of like go along with it.
But so in policy, so I'm just gonna, so just to make another note, the worthiness of the policy and the collections is to Jeff's point, and has been his point for a long time, it's worthless if we're not collecting. And it's just, but, and you can look at the other side of it where we never collected a dime and now we're collecting 20 or 30, whatever it might be. But the idea is that this new language that's highlighted in red will get some students' attention if they can't go to prom and they can't go on a field trip and they can't go to field day. Those are huge things for students and their parents. If they have to listen to the kids saying, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go, you have to replace this. You have to replace what you owe us.
Well,
Plain and
one
simple.
of the remedies discussed was not laying on drives, correct? Or not-
We can't do that. That's
Which we
illegal.
can't
That's
do.
right. No, that's why this is, right. That's why the highlighted red part has been vetted with council and ready to go. And it gives us something more than what we have now. At least we can send, that can be sent out and you can say, you're not going to prom is the biggest. They would rather go to prom than graduation, some of them. So I think that's probably better. But you know, hopefully we can begin to recoup things, but you can have the whole facilities meeting, Jeff, if you want, when it comes time to talk. I'm sorry.
When you bring it to full board,
Facilities.
I'll
Yes, yeah,
it'll have comments.
yes, he'll have count plenty.
Simple.
Yes.
I tried, Jeff.
Yeah.
3 times, buddy. I
You
tried.
guys, a couple months, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. It's not on me. It's not my problem.
I'm comfortable with this.
As far as meetings go, I'm sorry, it's not.
This is a policy issue, so perhaps you might formally request that Glenn take a look at this policy for his committee's input.
Well, I was gonna, that's what I was gonna do, is I'll pass it along to them for review.
To the formal, but yeah.
That would be the best.
Exactly, he'll want to. Yeah, you guys will be doing it together.
Because I took, it's important, and you too, Mark, that all the issues you brought up are brought into the public realm so that we can really make, you know, hard decisions as to what we do. You have a lot of great suggestions.
Send it.
So we'll pass it along to you.
Does this committee want it back, or can facilities committee send it right to the board?
I think Ellen wants me to take it back, but.
No, it's not my committee.
No.
It's whatever Glenn wants.
I
It's his
think,
committee.
I think it should stay with them and just pass it on to the board.
Yeah.
You agree? Okay.
That would be my expectation.
All right, let's do that. Next for future meetings.
I have one. Actually, I have, if you don't mind.
Kristen, did you have your other?
Yes, I'd like to see a bag policy.
I didn't hear you.
Bag policy,
Small bag.
small bag policy,
First policy.
something like that. We need to be able to accommodate students while still maintaining safety.
Okay. Yes, so.
Staff access, John had mentioned something a couple weeks ago about staff access to buildings, Board of Ed access to buildings, sorry.
Yep.
We need a policy on that.
Anything else? Bill, anything for you?
No.
Ms. Sterling, anything for you?
I am okay.
It is.
Gary, I believe we're gonna be needing to look at facilities use policy, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, you're right.
Facilities.
Yeah, that was the
I
other
think
one.
it's gonna be
Yes,
going to
facilities
the
use
facilities
policy.
committee, but then it's gonna have to come back to policy for review, so.
Now that we have the fields and everything else.
And the extra.
need a fee schedule. We have to add the intermediate school and things of that nature, so it's just some housekeeping.
Comments for the good of the order? John?
Fun meeting.
Yes.
Nothing.
Good meeting. Thank you for listening to me ramble.
That's okay. Ms. Sterling?
Thank you.
I don't know your name, I'm sorry. I haven't been on in a while.
Jill.
Oh, you are, check her out.
This is the one, John, that you mentioned the name that we saw. I think she's standing in right now because we didn't have a representative, right? Yes.
She's just a fill-in. She wanted to.
Just a fill-in. I'm not in here.
I got you, Jill. For the record.
No, thank you for coordinating. Meeting. Good to see you.
Good meetings, thank you.
Burger, think he's all set.
Mr. Bernie, good. I'm not here, I'm not here. I know, I'm not even. Comments are good, you want?
All set, thank you for your consideration.
Wait over there. You all set? All right. And this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was good.